Hi, this is Brandon Sway from thirstgym.com, and today we're going to talk about exercise called the side plank with bottom leg march. This is a great abdominal and adductor exercise you can put in your programs for your clients and your athletes. All you're going to need is a little bit of space, and you can do this anywhere. So it can be done at home, it can be a filler exercise. It's a good way to get things moving. So what I really want to emphasize here first is you got a good side plank. So make sure you can do a side plank, or your client can do a side plank, and that's going to set everything up from there first. So I'm going to briefly just to go over that. So I got my feet here together. They can also be separate. That's personal preference. I usually coach it here first, and then once we get that, we can kind of bring it together. To me, this is more comfortable than this, but you know, that's personal preference. So I'm gonna have my hand here on this AirX pad just for comfort's sake because of the turf, and I'm gonna come up here to my side plank position. I'm gonna make sure my butt is forward. That's the biggest issue with side planks, is butts are sagging and people are kind of rounded over. They're basically turning. They're trying to take this away from their obliques and put this on their back, right? So we want to make sure our obliques are getting to work first. So again, up on our side, hips are forward, should feel a little bit of glute squeeze. That's going to let me feel my obliques on the downside, and then my shoulders right underneath here. So we also want to make sure they're not super far out here. Right underneath it, get this stacked. That way the shoulders not having to work as hard in the exercise. Now what we're going to do, because I need to do a bottom leg march, this is where you do want to coach them this, because this will make the exercise a lot easier. So got my toes lined up in this position, butt still forward. Now I'm going to take this bottom leg, bring it up, back down. Or you can bring it out in front. That's personal preference. So I'm going to do it here in a little turn, bring it up, back down. So what's happening here is, one, I'm getting some flexion, but my adductor on my top leg is having to work in conjunction with my obliques. Try to keep this up good and tall. I'm just going to march back and forth, brief pause at each position, and then we would switch sides. So the reason this is a tough exercise for many people is, one, their adductors are weak. So by having weak adductors, we're taking this top leg and we're trying to give it some attention, right? So if you happen to be somebody that's like, man, my athletes aren't really ready for Copenhagen's, their adductors are just not there, they can't get the stack right from head to toe, come down to this level, I think is a better place to start to get them into that position. Because one, we can just hold it there. Two, if you really needed to, we could hold it here and just get that position and take the movement out. But usually we add the bottom leg march. Again, I'll show this really quick, because as I come here, I can pause, give myself a little bit of help, and break it up, rather than just have to hold, which is also basically almost like a cross connect hold. So by doing those taps, one, we get to train that flexion. It's going to open up the backside, strengthen that adductor on the top leg, still while getting the obliques and all the benefits we would get from our side plank. So again, I like this almost as a progression into doing a Copenhagen plank. So if you got issues with that, this might be a good way to do that. When it comes to programming, you've got two options. You can do time or reps. So the bad thing about time is athletes will just move their legs as fast as they can. They'll begin to sacrifice some quality just so they can get through the time and keep moving, and then they start to roll over. It starts to fall apart. But if you got somebody that's doing a good job with strict reps, then you can give them time, and then if they can get more by maintaining that, then they obviously get more hip flexion. It makes it a little bit harder because it's a little bit more dynamic. Now, if you're starting with beginners, I personally, again, like to do reps. I can control how long they're going to be doing it. Each rep, is approximately half a second, maybe a little bit more. So usually when I'm giving somebody 10 reps, I'm guessing it's probably going to be about 8 seconds or so. And it seems to be a good place to start, and I can build up those repetitions because we do have the other side to do. But the big thing to take home here is adductor strength tied in with the opposite adductor. So that's going to kind of work that sling system, which is great. We want to make sure we do both sides. So anywhere from 2 to 4 sets of anywhere from, usually I do 6 all the way up to 20 reps per side. If you're doing it time-wise, start with around 10 seconds. Try to build up to about 20 to 30 seconds, depending upon the strength of your athlete. If you got any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. Thanks. Have a great day.